A police officer who was taken to hospital with head injuries after violent clashes at a climate change protest has now been released. There were at least 21 arrests after 1,000 protesters descended on the Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station in Nottinghamshire. Protest groups want coal-fired stations replaced with more environmentally friendly ones. Sky's Darren Little reports.
Hundreds of police and close to 1,000 climate change protesters spent the day facing up to each other at the Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station near Nottingham. The protesters were determined to get in, and 3 did briefly before they were arrested. The police and station owners E.ON were equally determined to keep them out, meaning occasional flashpoints when fences were pulled down, but protesters were quickly repelled. The station is owned by E.ON, which recently announced it was shelving plans to build a new coal-fired power station in Kent. This afternoon it released a statement saying Ratcliffe-on-Soar plays a key role in ensuring we keep the lights on for millions of homes across the region and has undergone major investments that make Ratcliffe one of the cleanest power stations of its kind. The protesters are calling for the decommissioning of all coal-fired power stations.
Last week, E.ON shelved their plans for building a new coal-fired power station at Kingsnorth. So the question now has to be not about building new coal. The question has to be how quickly can we stop burning the coal-fired power stations we've already got and start moving to renewables and low-carbon alternatives.
One industry expert told Sky News both sides in this argument do have a point.
We're full of all the right intentions, and I think Ed Miliband has really started to give a much better lead to the government than it had before, but we're still a long way from being really serious. So I understand the anger and frustration, particularly of young people whose future we're really putting at stake by not being more energetic. We're certainly not doing enough to meet the challenge that's there, and I think we've seen that from the first report of the Climate Change Committee, which is in much more cautious language than I would use, basically saying we've got to get our finger out. The fact is, if we don't do this, we're going to have to spend some money.
Meanwhile, the protesters and the police prepared for a long night. Well, they've certainly caused a lot of disruption here today. So far, the protesters have failed to get into the power station and cause the disruption they were hoping. But they say they will stay here overnight and carry on their attempts to get into this power station and to stop it operating. Both police and protesters have claimed each other have been over-physical. It seems they're likely to continue clashing at flashpoints around this vast site for some time to come. Darren Little, Sky News, Nottingham.